Good day, everyone. We are the Group 1, and the cell that is assigned to us is the plant cell. We are going to tackle its parts and their corresponding functions. And here's the edible plant cell that we made. The materials or ingredients that we used in making our plant cell are cream sticks, gummies, marshmallows, nips, sliced bread, Mentos, crisscross chips, and bubble gums. And for the procedure, first we slice the bread as to what the shape of the plant cell looks like. We stack the bread one over another to make it appear like 3D. Then we put the green cream sticks as the outline and added some green color to the bread to make it look like a plant cell. Then we place the gummies, nips, marshmallows, Mentos, crisscross chips, and bubble gums in their corresponding locations. We'll just elaborate what edible material we used for the various parts as we discuss its functions. Now let's have the plant cell structure. Plant cells are the basic unit of life in organisms of the kingdom Plantae. They are eukaryotic cells which have a true nucleus along with specialized structures called organelles that carry out different functions. Plant cells have special organelles called chloroplasts, which create sugars via photosynthesis. They also have a cell wall that provides structural support.
Vacuole. In plants, the vacuole is crucial for growth and development and has a variety of functions including storage and transport, intracellular environmental stability, and response to injury. Depending on the cell type and growth conditions, the size of vacuoles is highly dynamic.
The other parts of plant cell include chloroplast. We use the bubble gums to represent the chloroplast. Chloroplast function, it will produce energy through photosynthesis and oxygen release process, which sustain plant growth and crop yield. As such, chloroplasts are responsible for the biosynthesis of active compounds such as amino acids, phytohormones, nucleotides, vitamins, lipids, and secondary metabolites.
We use nips to represent peroxisome. Peroxisomes are organelles that sequester diverse oxidative reaction and play important roles in metabolism, reactive oxygen species, detoxification, and signaling. Oxidative pathways housed in peroxisomes include fatty acid B oxidation, which contributes to embryogenesis, seedling growth, and stomatal opening. We use the side of the bread to represent the middle lamella. The middle lamella is a cementing layer of the plant cell wall that holds together adjacent plant cells. It is usually made of calcium and magnesium pectates.
Next part of plant cell is airspace. The airspace found between the spongy parenchyma cells allows gaseous exchange between the leaf and the outside atmosphere through the stomata. In aquatic plants, the intercellular spaces in the spongy parenchyma help the leaf float. Both layers of the mesophyll contains many chloroplasts. Another part of plant cell which is free ribosomes. Free ribosomes are unattached to any cellular structure and float freely around in the cytosol. They are also able to move throughout the cell. Free ribosomes play a significant role in synthesizing proteins that are released into the cytosol to be used within the cell. So another part of plant cell which is mitochondria. Their main function is to generate the energy necessary to power cells. But there is more to mitochondria than energy production. Present in nearly all types of human cell, mitochondria are vital to our survival. They generate the majority of our adenosine triphosphate or ATP, the energy currency of the cell. Another part of plant cell, which is plasmodesmata. Plasmodesmata or PD are gated plant cell wall channels that allow the trafficking of molecules between cells and play important roles during plant development and in the orchestration of cellular and systematic signaling responses during interactions of plants with the biotic and abiotic environment.
Cell walls from adjoining cells. Forming the interface between adjacent cells, plant cell walls often play important roles in intercellular communication. Because of their surface location, plant cell walls play an important role in plant microbe interactions, including defense responses against potential pathogens.
Middle lamella between cells is also part of plant cell. So the middle lamella serves as a cementing layer between the primary walls of adjacent cells. The primary wall is the cellulose containing layer laid down by cells that are dividing and growing.
Cell wall. It provides a structural framework to support plant growth and acts as the first line of defense when the plant encounters pathogens. The cell wall must also retain some flexibility, such that when subjected to developmental, biotic, or abiotic stimuli, it can rapidly remodel in response. For the cell wall, we use the brown part of the bread to represent it. Plasma membrane. In plants, as in all organisms, the plasma membrane serves two main roles. First, the transport of solutes both into and out of each cell. Second, sensory transduction, that is, the sensing and initiation of the cellular response to changing environmental conditions.
We used orange bubblegum to represent smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The main function of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is to make cellular products like hormones and lipids. It also distributes those products throughout the cell and to places in the organism. The smooth ER is also regulates and releases calcium ion and processes toxins.
The other parts of plant cell includes nucleolus. We use nips to represent the nucleolus. Nucleolus function, it is a spherical structure found in the cell's nucleus whose primary function is to produce and assemble the cell's ribosomes. The nucleolus is also where ribosomal RNA genes are transcribed.
The nuclear envelope separates the contents of the nucleus from cytoplasm and provides the structural framework of the nucleus. The nuclear membranes acting as barriers that prevent the free passage of molecules between the nucleus and the cytoplasm, and maintain the nucleus as a distinct biochemical compartment.
Nucleus is the other parts of plant cell. We use bubble gums to represent the part's nucleus. The nucleus function in plant cell is to store and regulate DNA. The main function of the nucleus is to store DNA. The nucleus does this by condensing DNA into a coiled form called chromatin around small proteins called histones.
Rough endoplasmic reticulum is also part of plant cell. And we all know that the endoplasmic reticulum can either be smooth or rough. And in general, its function is to produce proteins for the rest of the cell to function. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum has on it ribosomes, which are small, round organelles whose function it is to make those proteins.
Ribosomes are small organelles and are the site of protein synthesis. Ribosomes have two main functions decoding the message and the formation of peptide bonds. These two activities reside in two large ribonucleoprotein particles of unequal size, the ribosomal subunits. Each subunit is made of one more ribosomal RNA, and many ribosomal proteins or R proteins.
Golgi apparatus. The function of the Golgi apparatus is processing and packaging proteins that have exited the rough endoplasmic reticulum to be further transported inside and or outside the cell. In plant cells, the Golgi body also serves as the site for the synthesis of complex polysaccharides. For the representation of the Golgi apparatus, we used some part of the marshmallows.
So let's compare the nature of bacteria cell from plant and animal cell, and state also the organelles that can only be found on each type of cell. Since bacteria are prokaryotic cells, they are lacking of additional organelles that are membrane bound as well as a nucleus. Eukaryotic cells, such as those found in plants and animals, have a nucleus along with additional membrane bound organelles. Plant and animal cells lack the peptidoglycan-based cell wall found in bacterial cells. Animal cells lack a cell wall, but plant cells contain a cellulose-based cell wall. Plant cells lack flagella, a feature that allows mobility in some animal cells, but not in bacterial ones. Animal cells lack chloroplast, which are needed for photosynthesis in plant cells. Plant cells lack lysosomes, which are organelles that break out waste products in animal cells.
And here's another question. If these cell tissues were injured or diseased, what do you think will happen to the health of the organism carrying such type of cell? The quantity and the location of the damage, the kind of cells impacted, and the organism's general health are some of the variables that will determine how damaged or sick plant cell tissues will affect an organism's ability to function. The organism's general health might not be seriously threatened if the harm is contained and does not spread widely. Through mechanisms such as the development of callus tissue, which aids in the sealing up of wounded areas and inhibits the spread of diseases, plants are able to compartmentalize damage. Damage can have systematic impacts on the organism's general health if it hits critical tissues or spreads to a large percentage of the plant. Pathogen-caused diseases can spread throughout the plant and result in systematic problems. These pathogens include bacteria, fungus, and viruses. To combat the infection, the plant will activate its defensive systems, which include producing secondary metabolites and activating many signaling pathways. The plant's capacity to move nutrients, water, and other necessary materials may be hampered by diseased or injured tissues. This may have an effect on the plant's general physiological functions. For instance, damage to the vascular tissues may make it more difficult for nutrients and water to reach the plant, which would stunt its growth. In response to stress, plants can alter gene expression and produce chemicals associated to stress by initiating stress response pathways.
So, last question is, how important is cell to every living organisms? So every living thing depends on cells, which are the fundamental units of life. They provide the framework for tissues, organs, and organ systems, and they are the fundamental structural and functional components of all living things. Cells perform a number of metabolic functions that are essential to life, such as the generation of energy, the intake of nutrients, and the removal of waste. They aid in growth and reproduction, enabling organisms to mature, heal injured tissues, and preserve homeostasis. DNA, the genetic material found in cells, contains the instructions necessary for an organism's growth, survival, and reproduction. Through genetic mutations and changes, They are essential to adaptation and evolution. Through a variety of signaling pathways, cells interact and communicate with one another, enabling the integration and coordination of cellular functions within an organism.